Holy crap. This is really an excellent episode. It is rated TV-14, and this video will have spoilers for it and the ones leading up to it, and I think we're going to dive right in. I don't think... Right, I did want to... No, we're going to dive right in. Yeah, I really appreciated that this episode followed up on several things that... Yeah, in a really compelling way. The episode before it set up that there is some conflict between how Oliver and Helena see this whole vendetta. Because technically they are both. For both of them, it's a vendetta. It's just a question of how far they go to. Or I suppose. Wait. Does a vendetta necessarily mean that the person you have a vendetta against ends up dead? It does in Max Payne 3, so maybe it's more that she has a vendetta and he's trying to talk her down from that. Yeah, into more like heroism as far as vigilantism goes, with a hint of anti-hero. But she apologizes for, putting that gun at his mom. And, I think we're going to talk some about, let's see. Okay, yeah, and the other thing being how Tommy handles his new status. Let's see if I can keep this chronological. So, from right away, these episodes really do hit the ground running. This episode, since this episode is TV-14, they can now say they can be a tiny bit more direct than the episode before this one. They did indeed have sex, and they do such a great job because it's like, she gets up and leaves, and we're not entirely sure at first if he is gonna follow her or what. And if I'm remembering right, I gotta say, when I watched the scene, I wasn't entirely sure if he was awake or not, because I think he moved a little bit, but that might have been like in his sleep kind of thing. So really effective when we do see, he was awake, he followed her. Let's see, great to see Kelly Hu again. Boy, does she get to kick some ass in this one. Those knives of hers, holy crap. I mean, I wasn't planning on it, but now I definitely don't want to piss her off. But yeah, very clever, this thing of, Helena wants to have them thinking that Frank was the one who killed the, so that they would, take him out. Because, as we see later, there's no way that she would have been... If she had tried to kill Frank, she would not have left the premises in one piece. And that is something that she would like to... I think... Yeah, it was really cool. And the fact that she does still fire the gun, she just misses. Helena does. And then, the Triad don't really take... They don't take kindly to folks that shoot at them, which is fair enough. And Oliver basically spends the next couple of scenes that he and Helena share trying to convince her. And let's see, we again have the show acknowledging that there's nothing wrong with female pleasure. It doesn't make the there are things in these two episodes where it's like, oh, this, Helena, she it would be wonderful if she would change that. She definitely, Oliver and the show agree that she has to stop killing people and shooting people in public like that. Because she, again, almost killed Moira. It could have killed Moira. But, yeah, neither of them, perhaps especially Oliver, have any problem with, Helena having sex with him and enjoying it and saying, she needed that. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. And also just the little acting thing that the actress does, yeah, when it's possible it was also in the script, and maybe the director said, but the emphasis when she says, I forget her exact words, but she said, yeah, I'm gonna paraphrase, but she says something along the lines of, "Thank you for the intercourse," and there's the little, just I think it's her lip does a little bit like just to say, no, it's she's like remembering it, and that's good. Um, let's see. I think that pretty well covers. Yeah, and she says she's not looking to, it was a one-time thing, and she's not interested in learning about his, and I do also his methods. And I do quite like she genuinely does have like a live and let live thing. She's like, okay, you don't take them fully out, you don't, end them like I do, but respect. Like you do your thing, I do mine. Like she doesn't even like even when she's the angriest at him, she doesn't threaten his life. She just says that she'll give away his secret, which would make this substantially more difficult, and it works well as like a deterrent. I wouldn't rule out that he might try in the future to stop her from something, but he'll, then quickly do what he can to convince her not to give away the secret. But she genuinely at no point says that he should stop. She's the first person who found this out who didn't say he should stop at all. Like there's a couple of characters, like, let's see, Tommy and Thea have implied that they think Oliver might be Green Arrow. Yeah, she said, "You're not good at being a hero," and let's see, I guess Tommy, perhaps less overtly so, but I feel like it was implied that he was like, I don't know, are you sure about this, buddy? And when Oliver says, Oliver's response, I think, is equal parts, you didn't see anything, and also, I can handle this. And Dig took a swing at him, and tried to, yeah. But she doesn't at all, which, yeah. And it is, like, it would be pretty hypocritical of her. Like, what's she gonna say? No, if listen, go hard or go home, okay? You can't just do this thing of, like, sending them to the hospital. Like, you don't understand. Did I already make that reference? I think I already made the, okay. Yeah, we're gonna move on. It's just such a, at some point I'm gonna do an actual video on the Untouchables. Until then, I'm gonna try to space out the references to it so it doesn't get to be too much. Yes, we're gonna, I think that pretty well brings us to, let's see, what was the next thing? I think maybe when, right, Moira, it's like, well, we haven't really talked fully about this, and yeah, like genuine, and she says, I wasn't, let's see, she says something along the lines of she was trying to protect Walter by lying to him. and he drives Thea to school, and I can't tell for sure if he's like being sarcastic about them having wonderful conversations in the car, or if, yeah, but yeah, it is very. I don't even know if that's a thing in real life, but boy, do like 16 and 17-year-olds in American media ask their parents for a car. You know, one each, not one for all of them to share. The logistics of that would be a nightmare. But the let's see. I think that does bring us to, yeah. Then yeah. So Tommy talks to Laurel and says, you know, he made a reservation, and she's like, "Isn't that expensive?" And it's, you know, yeah. He's like, "Well, yeah, but everywhere good is expensive." Like, sweetie, I think she's. There's a saying in Danish. Not understanding when someone's waving at you with, I guess that would be called a wagon pole. That's a direct translation of the word, so I'm going to go with, I have no idea if that's what it's called in English. Yeah, that's Tommy right now. Pretty sure she was heavily implying she would be okay with it being a less expensive place, you know. It was just, yeah. You know, it's that thing about the yeah, find someone who just wants your company. And you know, I don't think she even does want, because it's not even his company, it would be his father's. Enough meme references for now. But the yeah, and then, you know, he does that thing that, yeah, a lot of women have expressed they find annoying, so we guys should try not to do it. Saying, you know, he's basically saying, "You're so cute when you're angry." Listen, I get that you think you cannot help it if you think she's funny when she's mad. Now I got that stuck in my head. But try, okay? Um, let's see. I think that might bring. So yeah, and then the you know, then he says, "Now you're doing thinky face, and you're doing baby talk," and the yeah, you know, she points out, you know, maybe, yeah, maybe you should get a job, and then the camera zooms in and hear the voiceover from one of the wet bandits. But yeah, the thing about, you know, maybe Oliver could get you a job, and is this thing like, in a way he feels like, isn't that charity? And he doesn't want to receive charity. He's okay with giving to charity if it will get him a chance with Laurel. And yeah, you know, it is that thing, like, it wouldn't necessarily be, you know, just charity. Like, she even points out, I mean, you know, it's not my favorite part about you, but you are good at parties. You know, it's like, you know, it's let's see. I guess technically it might be nepotism, but yeah, it is. He's gonna have to actually open the club now. Yeah. Um, let's see. I think that pretty well brings us to the um yeah, Felicity. I think I would just be repeating myself, so yeah, you already know. I think she's great on this show. I really, she's such a great part of this show. But yeah, you know, she comes in and she's she watched From Dusk Till Dawn, heard, you know, I want to say Seth say, okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling. And she was like, I am on it. And just, yeah, like, I've always wanted to go down under, but I'm afraid of it has a phobia against, or is it for, kangaroos, which, yeah, I, I saw that video too, where someone mistook a kangaroo for being just as friendly as, I forget the name of it, but I want to say Obscurus Lupa either said or was told that there's like a version of, and that the Australian equivalent to Lassie is about a kangaroo instead of border collie. Is that right? I forget the breed that Lassie is, but yeah. And then there's a video in that video where someone, I think it was Obscurus Lupus review of one of the, there were more than one, weren't there? Wow. Of those, the kangaroo movie, or wait, was it a movie that happened to have kangaroos but wasn't, but yeah, one of those movies for young people where there's like talking kangaroos, anthropomorphized kangaroos. Anyway, but yeah, there was a video in that video of like someone saying the name of the kangaroo, Lassie, and going up to a kangaroo, like basically trying to pet it, and the kangaroo attacks, because like, I mean, it probably thinks you might be a threat, so it's like, yeah. Wow. We gotta get better at not taking too many lessons from like, media that's like, yeah, it's might be friendly in a TV show or movie or whatever, but yeah. Anyway, then, yeah, Walter, understandably, is like, you came in here to tell me something? And I just want there to be an outtake where she goes, no, I just wanted to ask about the trip. But no, she looked further into, she says later in the episode, mysteries bug her. They're meant to be solved. That was also a thing. Like, he's like, okay, so I have something for you to do. I should probably have warned you before, like, just in case you didn't want to hear anything about it. Last person who did this, 6 feet under now. But yeah, she's more badass than I gave her credit for. She's actually like, no, that's, But anyway, yeah. But before that, she says she did some digging on Moira and, found the symbol. And at first he's like, I can't believe you got this piece of evidence that I could follow up on. Get out of my office, and I think it's when she comes back that she thinks she's about to be fired. But yeah, let's see. So after that, Oliver goes to talk to the to Helena, which was also a great little. I mean, not everything about Frank is terrible. And I do appreciate that. He's the least cartoony of the antagonist characters we've had so far. Come to think of it, they gave him dimensions. I appreciate that. They realize you gotta mix it up every so often. And I do also appreciate, by the end of this episode, he crossed the name off the list. But it was also part of, dealing with Helena and trying to get her to not, which, like, that kind of speaks to her dedication, that he's like, the only way I'm going to keep her from killing him or getting him killed, as the case may be, her first thought is getting him killed, is put him in prison for life. That's those are the options. It's that or her yeah, killing him or getting him killed. Yeah, the yeah, Oliver goes to the home, and I also appreciate, yeah, Helena. I mean, I guess she's lying because she was the one who killed. I don't know. Sometimes she says, "I'm sorry for her loss." Usually, that doesn't mean I personally apologize because I did this to you. But in this case, maybe, yeah. She does have a little like sly smile about, yeah, I killed him and I'd do it again. Let's see. And we meet, so I'm going to try to, let's see. So while Laurel's name can be, she, apparently her full name is Dinah Laurel Lance. But this, the widow of the guy is named Dina. Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep those straight. If Dina makes another appearance and has more than one line, yeah. But it was this thing of having Helena actually so close to someone that she killed the partner of, yeah. But of course the it is one of those things, you don't know. I mean, it's possible that even if she knew, Dina, wouldn't like hate Helena. I think Dynamite. I took too long to build to that, didn't I? I had to. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna move on to the but yeah, so Oliver, comes to the Bertinelli residence, and yeah, I don't know if Frank can tell that, last time, I mean, he can tell that the date went well, although not necessarily in the way he might think, because of yeah. But yeah, he appreciates, he's like, a father knows when he's not needed, and walks off as yeah, Mr. Queen tries to, he appreciates that for now, if they are going to have a relationship, it's possible that he should be, that they should be Helena Bertinelli and Oliver Queen, not Oliver Clothes Off. But yeah, it was really good. The him trying to teach her and admitting by the end he needs some, yeah, Oliver has needs. And but yeah, he he goes to the, yeah, he takes her to the lair. And I did quite appreciate the way that there was a real flirty energy to, yeah, like from when he's trying to teach her about the bow and arrow. And I do also appreciate, like, ultimately it wasn't so much like by the end of this she's going to be a crack shot, which I was wondering about, because I'll get to that later in this video. But yeah, but the he's teaching her the virtues required to use a bow and arrow. And we get another joke about the fact that a bow and arrow is not as effective a way of shooting something as a gun. But the yeah, he's teaching her the that's a major difference between the two of them. He does have more self-control, at least at this point in the episode. And but yeah, she starts like throwing things, and you know, the look on her face when he, you know, nails something to the wall. She did say she enjoyed the sex, you know. I just, yeah. And yeah, Deagle shows up, and Oliver shares his name, which, like, yeah. He, at that point in the episode, he just is in denial. He so badly wants this to work. And yeah, I like the thing about, you know, I'll leave you to your associates so you can associate. And let's see, they have a conversation about him being in denial about it. And yeah, Dig points out, you know, I'm trying to keep your head on straight. And I think that brings, so the we have the other meeting between so yeah, Felicity goes and she's like, okay, so I just want you to know, before you say that I'm fired, it is Christmas. There is a long line for the suicide booths, which is apparently, like, I didn't even know that. When I heard that joke on Futurama, you know, I like dark humor. I like morbid jokes. I had no idea that's apparently a myth, misunderstanding, something like that. I'm afraid I forget who I learned that from. Was it Lily Simpson? Maybe it was Going Rampant. Right now I don't really remember, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, you know, he's like, what can you find out about this symbol? And sorry, about this book. Sorry, she already got him the symbol, which was also, like, you know, her saying they're good, like NSA good, like, holy crap. I think that might, let's see, which I guess means that the people behind that symbol, which I appreciate, is still a mystery. We still don't know that much about what's going on with that. Just a few of the people involved. But I guess they might be able to hack into that new. See, I forget if it was ICE who runs or just that they have access to. But there's apparently going to be a database so that ICE have an easier time, because they were having such trouble before of finding immigrants that they want to deport. So yeah, yay. I do really hope that at some point Republicans are gonna stop voting for the leopards eating people's faces party, because, like, come on, man. Like, the moment he started deporting people, you had a lot of people, including Republicans, saying that that was not what they wanted. Anyway, yeah, so the let's see, and I will say, you know, I definitely believe that she does, you know, mysteries don't feature her, they bug her. Did I hear her say the word hinky? I have never heard the word hinky. Were they trying to come up with their version of Jinkies, I think it is, on Scooby-Doo? Let's get jinky with it was probably the worst line in both of the James Gunn written, I think he wrote both, the two live action Scooby-Doos. That stung. I wasn't even that big a fan of the cartoon, though obviously I watched it. You know, I like a mystery, and it was on. But yeah, some really great stuff in those. I think he's going places, this James Gunn guy. Anyway, then we have the what's the next thing? Yeah, holy crap. I'm not saying don't double date, but don't double date when it's this complicated, you know. So yeah, you know, the Tommy can't quite pay his way to cutting down the weight, and you know, Oliver shows up, and then, you know, yeah, it's like this thing, yeah. You know, Oliver's not trying to embarrass Tommy. He, at that point in the episode, has no idea about the trust fund. And Laurel suggests that they share a table because she, you know, and like she says to Tommy, she's genuine, she's trying to help, she's not trying to embarrass him. But yeah, it is a pretty, and also just, you know, the fact, yeah, Tommy's like, maybe not, and you know, yeah, Oliver's like, yeah, sure, I guess we can do that. Yeah, he's not always the best at listening. But yeah, them talking, you know, there were some really great moments. Yeah, the thing of you know, drowning in beer, there's worse ways to go. And then Helena drops, there are good ways to die. Helena, mixed company. I know that, you know what? If you just said that to Oliver, you know, he'd be okay, cause Oliver twisted as well, but yeah, I think she might have been misreading some signals, or maybe she's just so used to this whole, cause like, I mean, her family are mobsters, so I guess it could, yeah, she's yeah, that would have probably killed, not literally, metaphorically. If you're not watching Amy's Dead End Dream House, yeah, rectify that. It's I've only watched the first episode so far. I gotta watch the second one. I did notice that they uploaded it anyway. But yeah, that line might have killed with her dad. But the let's see. Yeah, then we have the yeah. You know, Laurel thinks that Tommy already asked for a job with Oliver, and that Oliver was the one who was being slow about like answering. And yeah, like in that situation, you know, because she doesn't, I'm pretty sure she doesn't even know that he didn't even tell Oliver about the money, you know. So yeah, she's like, Oliver, listen, this is important. I know you're not a serious person, because she still thinks he's not. You got to get on this, you know, because she's like, well, okay, Oliver still has his trust fund. I guess he doesn't understand how difficult it is to go without, you know, job or money. So yeah. And Helena realizes, oh, this is the girl you took me to the grave of the sister of. And she does call him out on, you know, you manipulated me. That was also a powerful scene, though. I think that pretty well brings us to, yeah, I think was that after the, yeah, this is no longer chronological, I'm pretty sure. I think I am gonna, yeah, so let's talk about, so you know, yeah, he's like, okay, now the you know, on to the next lesson. And the yeah, he says, you know, no guns, but bow and arrow is not really, you know, he opens the box, and you know, she does clearly appreciate this gift, because it's not a bow and arrow. She's not 12, and she doesn't have anger issues. But I think I deserve a medal for my restraint in not making even one reference to that movie in the episode before this one. Although on second thought, it might be because I wasn't entirely sure it was the same character before this episode. But the yeah, and the thing with yeah, she wants a bloody costume and gets one, and yeah, it was really cool them taking out. So yeah, we do get a cartoonish, antagonist in the episode. The guy selling, the drugs. And the thing about you don't really think you're walking out of here in one piece. I was thinking the same thing. And I'm thinking that Oliver specifically told her what to say rather than her stepping on his line, because she does that. Yeah, that's normally what he says, But yeah, they make a really great duo. It was really cool seeing them take out people there, and the taking out some of the light first to make that easier. And let's see, I think that does pretty well bring us to, yeah, before I talk more Helena and Deb, let's talk about, so Tommy apologizes to Laurel. That was also, I was sitting there thinking, are you seriously already gonna break up Tommy and Laurel? Because they're so great together, like I appreciate, she doesn't want to label it boyfriend girlfriend yet, but them going on these dates and having these conversations, it's so great. And yeah, he admits, I do I appreciate, he hasn't felt like embarrassment or jealousy for a while, but one of the things he says is shame, which, yeah, based on the episodes up to this one, I think I believe him. He doesn't seem like I didn't know he was capable of shame until recently, so that's nice to see. Shame is an important, it keeps us from doing some really terrible things. I think that brings us to the yeah, she noted, billionaire was his worst quality, her least favorite quality or something, and she spells out, it wasn't about the money for her. And yeah, she says she didn't mean to push, but she thought he already had the conversation with Oliver. And I think that does bring us to the yeah, so the let's see, we have the yeah, I just really want to know, like, the double date, such a great, like, because you have all these different issues all like colliding without getting in each other's way, like Tommy doesn't want Oliver to know about his money problems. Laurel thinks that Oliver just needs a little push to help. She has no idea that Tommy didn't even ask. Oliver kind of just hopes that things work out, and he's also like, he's introducing Helena to everyone, I guess. At this point, I guess if Moira hadn't been at work and Thea hadn't been at school, I guess they would have met her too. Yeah, and Helena, like I said, makes the remark about good ways to die, and also realizes, oh, you had, this is the girl that, and she points out, you still love her, which, yeah, clearly. But yeah, let's see. I guess with Thea, there was already sort of a love quadrant. Yeah, I guess if you add Helena, we end up with 5 people involved in this, like, who's gonna end up dating each other, which, yeah, it's a love, I actually don't know what that shape is called, but it is objectively one of the most annoying pieces to deal with in Tetris, so maybe that's not such a bad thing. Yeah, Helena breaks with, she's done playing it the way that oh, right, okay, before I talk about that, holy crap, that was one thing, I don't know how I forgot to mention, but I think it was the episode before this one, the beautifully lit shot with yeah, it was the episode before this one, because it was Helena arriving after, shooting, including almost hurting, or slightly hurting, I guess, Moira. The lighting behind, holy crap, it's just amazing. And then in this episode, them like perched up there with in the background, you've got the cop cars and the not sirens, what are the blinky lights, and yeah, and it's just the way the light is behind them, and there's this just fantastic. That some really, really great, strong, striking images on this show. And I think that brings us to, let's see, kind of makes me wonder if Helena's is ACAB like I am, although for different reasons, since, yeah, let's move on. Anyway, she goes to the leader of the triad, and yeah, we have the thing about, he says that thing about, if you seek revenge, you should dig 2 graves. One for the person you're seeking revenge on, and the other one to put the dirt from the first hole. And, she, at this point, has, picked up a second pistol, and she's like, I actually don't speak very much Chinese. All I speak is John Woo. So badass. Holy crap. Yeah. And, the thing about, yeah, so Frank is sitting at home, drinking another. And, Helena walks up, bad year. Hasn't it only been a few weeks? How long has she been killing his associates? Holy crap. But she says, no, I mean the liquor. And he even apologizes because, it is slightly upsetting. He didn't know she was there, It can be upsetting seeing one of your parents, break something. He wasn't intending to do that in front of her. Let's see, and he even, yeah, they did a really good job giving him just enough humanity. There's some real tragedy here, because he says it's so nice to see her happy again, and he thinks it's because of Oliver. He has no idea that she's standing there there's inside her head there's an image of her dancing on his grave, and he has no idea. But she leaves, and he gets, or is that after? Anyway, in that same scene, I'm pretty sure he gets the call. Yeah, I think it's he gets the call, and then she starts leaving, and she knows what the call is going to be. And also, and he's probably thinking, oh, she's walking away because she doesn't want to listen in, But, the call, the triad leader has been murdered. And we also had the thing about, what's going on? War. So cool. But yeah, he's like, well, we know what comes next. I gotta go prepare my little friend for someone to say hello to. And you cannot tell me that scene was not inspired heavily by that movie. That's, yeah. Let's see. I think that brings us to, yeah, really, really cool when they do attack. And yeah, they manage to take out several before anyone even realizes they're there. And yeah, holy crap, Kelly Hu with those blades. Wow. And yeah, she comes close to killing Frank, and then, Green Arrow fires a green arrow, and then Frank loses some of his humanity points by pointing a gun at the guy who just saved his life, which, yeah, Not the first time I've seen that in a comic with a comic book antagonist. Yeah, and Green Arrow is able to deter him, and just says something like "run" or something. So, and that was also really clever. The laptop, meaning that he ends up, and it's one of those things. At least he's keeping it in a like stored in a safe place, and it's close enough to him that he can quickly grab it and run like a relic. But some people would probably be like, why don't you just get rid of it, though? Frank Bertinelli has the worst IT department. You don't even get me started. If you watch that South Park episode about cable companies, yeah, take that and multiply it. But yeah, and yeah, very cool. He does manage to take out a couple of them himself and gets, some distance away. But, Helena was basically just waiting for him to leave the building so that she had a chance had a shot, an arrow. What do they call that when you... I think they do say shooting an arrow. But yeah, and like he can't believe that it's really her, and then he loses some more Paragon points by shooting her. Like, okay, I get that he might think it's if he doesn't take her out, but like maybe start by just moving away, back away whilst holding her at arrow point. But yeah, and Oliver does get her to back to the lair and save her life, and he says to Dig, I have a feeling I haven't seen the last of her. I hope so. She's great. I guess I should just briefly say, so I am slightly undecided as to which Helena Bertinelli I like better of the two live-action versions that I've seen. And I think I've made it clear what the other... I don't know if there's more than two live-action versions, but hopefully you know by now which is the other one I've seen. They're a little too different for me to like clearly compare. I like a lot about both of them. I don't know. I mean, no, ultimately I can't really make a final decision, at least not at this point. Maybe if somehow if hypothetically she appeared again somewhere down the line, maybe I could have more of an idea. I suppose what I'll say is I was more emotionally invested in this one. That's part of also how they're telling the story and how much time they have to do that, how much other stuff they have to juggle and such. Yeah. I thought they did some really great things with both of them. Both of them got to be badass, has some really standout action moments. Yeah, I think that's what it is for now. Yeah. Then we have Tommy telling Oliver the whole thing, and yeah, I really appreciated that he is able to, and yeah, of course, Oliver, doesn't yeah, he doesn't judge him for it or make fun of him or anything. They tease each other sometimes, but this is too serious, and he realizes that, and he says, yeah, sure, you can have a job. And they say, I'm gonna have to see about dental. This smile wasn't cheap. I wonder if he goes to the same guy who... Because there's a couple of options. Maybe he went to the same guy who did Jimmy Carr's. Maybe he went to the same one who took care of George Clooney's in Intolerable Cruelty. I'm not entirely sure. Right, I did also want to talk about, the, Felicity showing up with the you know, once again, foot in mouth disease. She's got it pretty bad. If we're gonna do this, it needs to be darker in here. If I thought it through, I would have made that sound less dirty. But yeah, now Walter can indeed read the names in the book. What was it? She said something about the light, ultraviolet. I might actually review that movie at some point. But yeah, the Walter is getting closer to finding out what is going on. And it is this, like, they're doing such a good job here because, like, he knows for a fact that Moira lied to him. Now he's lying to her. And sort of about the same thing. Let's see. I think that pretty well covers... Oh, I forget. Did I talk about... If not, I'll do it briefly here. Yes, the episode before this one, the other guy... yeah, going right in and talking to Moira just to see if her conviction was, faltering, and says he can see it hasn't, and leaves, and yeah, that was very creepy. But it's one of those things. Like, sometimes if you get involved with people like that, I'm not making excuses, I'm not victim blaming, but it is that is what the episode is doing. This thing of, like, yeah. And then we have the I think that covers everything. Really cool bit with her driving off, not quite into the sunset, it's a little late for that, but on the motorcycle. Yeah, I mean, they got... So, I don't know exactly what it is she looks like in the comics. I saw on IMDb trivia that apparently in the comics her suit is purple. So yeah, there is... maybe that's why I certainly could imagine they're paired up in at least some of the comics as well, because purple and green go well together. Just ask Bruce Banner. But yeah, I hope that she does indeed come back. I suppose it's possible that was them, like, AV testing, like, saying to the audience, hey, if you like it well enough, we could bring her back. Yeah, really looking forward to more. But yeah, I did think it was big of Oliver. Before they agree that it's, that Tommy's going to work for him, Oliver does say, me trust fund is Sue trust fund.